Many people believe their biggest problem is discipline. They assume that if they could just find more motivation, more focus, or a stronger routine, their lives would finally start moving forward. So they try productivity systems. They set ambitious goals. They promise themselves that tomorrow will be different. But often the real problem isn't discipline at all. In fact, many people who feel stuck are not lazy, and they're not lacking ambition either. Instead, they are caught inside a pattern they rarely notice. A quiet pattern. A psychological blind spot that subtly shapes how time is spent, how decisions are made, and how life gradually unfolds. Because the forces that influence human behavior are not always dramatic. They rarely appear as obvious mistakes or major failures. Instead, they appear in ordinary moments. Moments so small and familiar that they barely seem worth noticing. But those moments, repeated day after day, can quietly shape the direction of an entire life. Modern life has never been more comfortable. Food arrives at our door within minutes. Entertainment is available instantly. Almost any inconvenience can be solved with a few taps on a phone. Even boredom has become optional. At first glance, this seems like progress. Life has become easier, faster, and more convenient than at any point in human history. And yet, despite living in the most comfortable era humanity has ever known, many people feel strangely stuck. Goals remain unfinished. Plans get postponed. Days seem to pass quickly, yet meaningful progress often feels slow. People frequently say things like, "I know what I should be doing, I just can't seem to start," which raises an interesting question. If life has become easier than ever before, why does meaningful progress often feel harder than it should? Why do so many people feel like they're running in place? To understand that pattern, we have to look at something most people rarely think about: the relationship between comfort and human behavior. Consider how a typical evening unfolds for many people. After a long day of work or responsibilities, there is often a sense of mental fatigue. Not complete exhaustion, just the quiet feeling of wanting to relax. The plan is simple. Take a short break. Maybe scroll through the phone for a few minutes. Check social media. Watch something light. Just 20 minutes. Then, after relaxing for a bit, the evening will continue with something more meaningful. Maybe exercising. Maybe learning something new. Maybe finally starting that project that has been sitting in the back of the mind for weeks or months. But something interesting happens during those 20 minutes. The break stretches longer than expected. A video leads to another. One episode turns into two. The phone is picked up again. Suddenly, the evening has quietly disappeared. And tomorrow becomes the new plan. Tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow there will be more energy. Tomorrow will be the day when everything finally begins. But when tomorrow arrives, the same familiar pattern often repeats itself. At first glance, this pattern looks like procrastination. It seems like a problem of motivation or discipline. But something deeper is happening beneath the surface. To understand it, we have to look at how the human brain evolved. For most of human history, energy was scarce. Survival required constant effort. People had to hunt for food, travel long distances, build shelter, and solve physical challenges just to stay alive. In that environment, conserving energy was extremely important. So the brain developed a simple rule. If two options exist, one difficult and one easy, prefer the easier one. Saving energy increased the chances of survival. If a task could be completed with less effort, the brain rewarded that choice. And for thousands of years, this instinct worked perfectly. But the modern environment is very different from the world our brains evolved in. Today, effort is often optional. Comfort is available almost everywhere. And the easiest option is usually only seconds away. Over time, the brain adapts to that environment. It learns what daily life looks like. It learns what to expect. And gradually, it begins guiding behavior toward the easiest available path. The comfort trap does not appear all at once. It develops slowly. One small decision at a time. Choosing the easier option today. Then again tomorrow. Scrolling instead of reading. Watching instead of creating. relaxing instead of beginning something difficult. Each individual decision feels harmless. After all, everyone deserves to relax sometimes. Occasional comfort is not the problem. But over time, something subtle begins to change. The brain begins to learn what daily life looks like. Comfort becomes familiar. Effort becomes unusual. And when effort becomes unusual, it begins to feel uncomfortable. Tasks that once seemed manageable suddenly feel difficult to begin. Not because they are actually harder, but because they require stepping outside a routine that has gradually become centered around ease. The brain, following its ancient instincts, quietly encourages the path that requires the least resistance. And because that path feels normal, it rarely gets questioned. This is where the comfort trap begins. The trap isn't comfort itself. Comfort isn't the enemy. The real trap is when comfort becomes automatic. When the brain begins choosing ease by default. Because most of the things that change our lives exist just beyond that boundary. Learning new skills requires frustration. Improving health requires discipline. Building something meaningful requires uncertainty and persistence. None of those things feel comfortable at the beginning. And when the brain becomes accustomed to constant comfort, those experiences begin to feel unusually difficult to start. Not because we have lost the ability to grow, but because our environment has quietly trained us to prefer ease. The comfort trap is powerful because it rarely feels like a trap. There is no dramatic moment where someone decides to stop progressing. There is no clear point where things go wrong. Instead, life simply drifts in the direction of the easiest available path. One small decision at a time. One comfortable evening at a time. And slowly, without ever intending to, people begin postponing the very things that might have changed their lives. The pattern is subtle. But once you begin to notice how often comfort quietly guides your decisions, you start seeing it everywhere. In routines, in habits, in the small choices that shape everyday life. And sometimes, simply seeing the pattern clearly is the first step toward changing it.